Let's start with what's up, everybody. Welcome back to Couple Things,
With Shawn and Andrew
a podcast all about couples.
and the things they go through.
Today's topic is talking about how we got into podcasting, YouTubing, TikToking, Instagramming, social media.
Yeah, and
And
kind of
the-
walking through our whole journey with it.
Yeah, because if you guys didn't know, I was a gymnast.
If you didn't know, Shawn was a gymnast, and you probably know her from that. If not, you might know her from Dancing with the Stars. But now what's crazy is when we get stopped on the street, people are like, hey, I love your TikTok,
Or Instagram.
or I love your YouTube, or I love your podcast,
Yeah,
which is it's crazy.
that's wild.
I mean, yeah. So we wanted to kind of take a step back and tell you how we got into this. We've also just been putting a lot of thought into transitions.
Yep.
We've been asked that quite a lot about how the transition was out of athletics and into this new career that we have. That's a big thing in athletics. Probably any industry that you transition out of, it's always like this really kind of tough time to figure out what's going to happen next. So where should we start? The beginning?
I'll give you a quick summary of my former career. How about that?
Great.
So started gymnastics when I was 3, made the United States national team at 12, went to the Olympics at 16 in Beijing, China. All through that, I loved school. My dream was to go to Stanford University, become an orthopedic surgeon. I left school my junior year to go to the Olympics, came back, and I was just on this whirlwind of TV shows and interviews and campaigns, and I was an ambassador for McDonald's and Coca-Cola and UNICEF, and I traveled the world doing speaking circuits and did all of this, and I did that for 5 years, deferred college that entire time, and kind of got set on a new route. And it was about 5 years after into that craziness, I met Andrew.
That's right. Background on me.
Yep.
I grew up with a dad who had played college football at Purdue. My oldest brother was an Olympic cyclist, which is how Shawn and I met. There's a whole lot of videos that we've done on that.
Yep.
My second oldest brother was a college football player, is now a professional CrossFitter. He's a beast. And I had always grown up wanting to be an NFL player. I would draw myself, wearing a uniform in elementary school. And I ended up going to Vandy to play college football. Studied civil engineering there. If NFL didn't work out, I thought I was going to be doing missionary work, building wells in third world countries. But as you'll soon find out, that's not necessarily how things worked out, because when Shawn and I met, I feel like just life took a lot of twists and turns that weren't expected. But I will say this. My roots with filming and documenting and sharing and recording are deep. So my dad grew up, he would show up to every single one of my football games. I'm talking elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and pros. He didn't need to film as much in the pros, but for all levels of football, he would show up with a camera and record the whole game.
Yep.
We would never watch it. It was never like, he was never like, hey, we got to do this because we want to watch tape together. Or just like, he loved participating in our sport. It was such a fun way to connect, and he was super into it. He'd always scheme a way to get like a media pass when we were playing at Georgia or at Alabama. He'd like get an actual credential and end up on the field. I'll never forget on my senior day, he was standing right there as I was flipping the coin.
I actually remember.
UT.
I remember when we started dating, and I would go to your football games. I would be sitting next to Dad, and I would turn away for a second, turn back, and he'd be gone. He'd be like, "Where did Dad go?" And he would look on the field, and he'd either be in the press box or he'd be on the field.
And it's crazy, and he was doing that my whole life. It was great. But he filmed everything. We have a birth vlog for me, which we'll do a video on. I think we have a birth vlog for my siblings.
Very ahead of the time.
And even my grandpa had a camera. Like when video cameras weren't a thing, camcorders, I think they were called back in the day. He had one. And so we have footage of my dad and my mom dating when they were in high school. It's crazy. But I want to start this saga with a story from 1985 that I think enlightens us as to how we got into this. So in 1985, my dad bought his first camcorder, right? He was pumped. He was like crushing it as his career in construction. He was like, got his master's, the whole thing. He was building stadiums around the nation for football. Bought a camcorder. He was like, this is what I want to do, is I want to be a videographer, a cinematographer. He puts an ad in the local newspaper saying videographer for hire. Gets a call a couple days later. It's from a couple who asked him to show up, and I kid you not, they wanted him to film them having adult time.
Wow.
Some naked time. Anyway, I just heard that story for the first time like 2 weeks ago. Obviously, it didn't happen. Just to close that story out. He said no, but
this is all because if you knew Dad, he was so quirky, and I can only imagine how that newspaper ad read.
Yeah, I know.
That was totally. It probably didn't come across as like this professional business. It was probably sketchy, and this couple was like,
not
"That's
sketchy.
our guy."
It was probably goofy is a better word.
Yeah.
So anyway, my dad had done this my whole life. We used to take the tapes though and take them out of the camera, put them in a bucket, and put it in the bucket in the closet. And so there was always this like gap of, okay, why are we filming these things? I started my YouTube career in 2008, right? So I had seen my dad film everything, and I heard about YouTube. In 2008, my buddy Justin and my other buddy Sam made our first YouTube video, the Lake Lemon Road Trip Extravaganza 2008. It was a 12-minute video for our hour-long road trip, which is absolutely ridiculous. We filmed it on a flip camera. It was like this sweet little, like, the technology back then was not what it is now, Shawn. So I was either filming on my Samsung flip phone.
I was very aware, Andrew. I lived through the same time as you did.
Okay, that's great. So we spent months editing this road trip video that's hilarious, and it still exists on YouTube. We followed that up with another video in 2008 called the Hoosier Hill Extravaganza 2008, which is ironic because Indiana has no high points. It's really just a hill. It's not like a mountain. So it's like, us finding the highest point in Indiana, which is not that high. Do you get the joke?
Okay.
So that's in 2008. I then got swept up into football. Shawn's doing gymnastics, winning gold medals during that time. 2010, made another video about another road trip. I just was enthralled with this idea of editing. Loved the process of editing, but also like making a storyline out of like a week-long experience. How can you make like an 8-minute video? I just love the challenge of that. Which brings us to 2015, Shawn.
Okay.
Give the people some background as to what was happening in that year with me graduating college, football, the things.
So I met Andrew in 2012, started dating in 2013. I quit all of my work, speaking engagements, ambassadorships, everything. For the entire year of 2013 and 14 while I was dating Andrew. I needed a clean start. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I transferred from Stanford to Vanderbilt. I got started in college, and I was just a dating college girl. That was about it. And it was amazing. And then in 2015, when Andrew and I had started getting more serious, Andrew was starting to bounce into the NFL.
And out of the NFL.
No, you were bouncing from team to team. We were talking about engagement and marriage. I started picking up more work because we were talking about life together. And we kind of just came to this head a little bit in 2015 where Andrew, a friend of ours, had started the YouTube influencing world. They had like gotten into it. Mallory Irvin. And because I had so much experience with like negotiating contracts and agents and ambassadorships, I would sit in on all of these meetings with her where she was looking for representation and kind of negotiating this life. And Andrew and I just started having this conversation of, should we do this? Should I give up my old career that I'm now picking back up, and should we try something new? And you already, by nature of your dad, documented literally every second of our life. And
already I was doing that.
Already.
Yeah. Just didn't have an outlet for it.
So it was always fun, but we were like, should we make an official, like YouTube channel and upload an official video?
I think you were less excited about it than I was. I was in a place where we just got engaged. I just signed with my first NFL team, the Chiefs. I was pumped. I was like, sweet, I'm going to be a football player, just like I had dreamed of for the next 10 years. Done. I got cut after like 3 months and had zero money. So I was sitting on the couch, didn't know what to do. Signed up to be an Uber driver. When I hear Mallory was like, yeah, I just started a YouTube channel. I was like, oh, interesting. I don't know that was a thing. Like, I started asking questions about this is what you're spending time doing. And then like, you're now working with companies. What does that look like? So in December of 2015, we found some camera that we had in the closet.
Don't ever watch this video, guys.
It's still there. I freaking love it. It is not great, to be honest with you. But this was a big deal for Shawn to start a YouTube channel. We would jump from 0 subscribers. I'll never forget sitting there after we released the video, and we got to 10,000 the first day subscribers. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh. But what was so unique about it and novel was you were the first kind of mainstream celebrity or traditional celebrity to branch into the YouTube world, where now, other people have tried to do it. Like A-Rod tried to start a channel. It's like it just was such a new thing. I think literally you and Jack Black might have been the two.
Well, the reason why it was so challenging, and to kind of bridge this gap for you guys to understand the difference between traditional old school marketing and media. So if you saw me on the side of a McDonald's cup, or if you saw me on a Coca-Cola can, but the difference between that and the influencing world is very, very different, or it was back then.
We've made it different, I think, too. But go ahead.
So my entire career that I had kind of built, and it was stable. I could guarantee an income, especially with you bouncing around the NFL. I wanted to be a supporting spouse at the time.
I had no income.
It was I was trying to help our family, but the way that I ran that business, it was very, very tailored, very polished, very politically correct. You didn't give polarizing views. You didn't give your real opinions. The way you presented yourself on camera was like hair and makeup ready. You had to look tailored and professional and polished, as if you were going into a corporate job.
Pay hundreds of dollars for people to come do your makeup or do your styling outfits. Yeah. It's like a whole thing.
But the influencing world, especially back then, there was this divide between the corporate world and influencing, where everything was very raw. It was not edited. You didn't wear hair and makeup fully done. You showed your actual self, your actual opinions, without talking points, without a PR and press team behind you, without a lawyer standing behind you to make sure you didn't like put a foot in your mouth, all these things. And that terrified me, because having that conversation with Andrew in the position we were in 2015, where we didn't really have an income and we were wanting to pursue this NFL career, buy our first house, potentially get married, all of these things. I was like, okay, if we jump into this world, it will shut the professional door for me I was doing.
Because your brand went from being super like, fancy celebrity to like, oh, she has a YouTube channel. Like it like belittled you. Interesting. Well, I give you so many kudos for being a pioneer. I think in a lot of ways you are in this realm. And I think you have shaped. Let me
correct that there. You were the pioneer.
Well,
I was gritting my teeth and holding on for dear life at the beginning, because I was like, I don't know what's going to come of this. We're losing our stability.
I distinctly remember a conversation we had in our kitchen where it was you saying, no, this is my bread and butter, or it's like speeches.
Yeah.
And I was pushing. I was like, Shawn, we should do YouTube full time.
And quit.
And it wasn't even a thing back then.
It wasn't.
And I mean, this is the beautiful thing about marriage. It's a difference in perspectives. But we did go about it in a smart way, where it's not like, I think we made a transition over a couple months so that there was a bridge, right?
Well, and to give one more anecdote here, the thing that ended up pushing me over the edge of being bought into it, which took a while, but it was so refreshing, was I had spent so much of my career trying to act, how do I say this? I don't want to say like something I wasn't, but
polished, like super polished version.
Being a professional athlete, your job is to put on a front for your judges and your competitors that you are made of steel, that you are unbreakable, and
only show the good stuff.
Yeah, and I remember watching on NBC all of these stories that they would say about me of like, oh, she's just a machine. And I wanted to be like, I'm not. I am a human being. I'm 16 years old. I'm struggling with boys and drama and girls, like the girl teenage thing. And I just wanted to eat a cheeseburger. And like, I had never been given the opportunity to show my human side. And this YouTube venture felt refreshing because for the first time, I felt like I could actually just be myself without people judging, like corporations and companies, without telling me, oh, you actually can't act like that, even if it's who I was.
Yeah. Your experience in the limelight, I think, does shed an interesting light on our experience on YouTube because you were so young as you were doing all these TV shows and, you know, getting interviewed by David Letterman and all these people. It's like that, and you're a teenager. So everyone else is in high school and college. It's like, well, what else is going on in Shawn's life? Like, clearly, this is a transformational period in a lot of people's lives. I wish we could see the behind the scenes, which I remember watching that first video and the reception it got. Sports Illustrated wrote an article, which I'll talk about in a second. But I remember thinking, wow, this is so cool. I actually believe, we were engaged at this point, I actually believe that the world would be a better place if I was able to show the world more of Shawn. And I fell in love with that smile. Let me see it. I fell in love with that smile as long as it took you to fall in love with me. But I was like, man, that would be a really cool side effect. So we got a very warm reception after that first video. We released a second video, okay? Sports Illustrated wrote a headline because this was a big deal for someone like Shawn to launch a YouTube channel. It was titled Shawn Johnson's YouTube series episode 2 recap. Too many pillows.
On Sports Illustrated?
Do you remember? That's what I'm saying. Because the setting was you were in bed with all these pillows.
All those pillows.
You remember that?
I will say though,
we didn't know what we were doing.
The reason why it had traction on Sports Illustrated and stuff was because this person and persona that Sports Illustrated, ESPN, NBC was forced to talk about in a like machine-like manner for so many years was all of a sudden becoming human. Does that make sense?
And showing her bed, which again was a big thing.
Relatable. Like, I was truly like taking a mask off and showing just what it was like to be a normal person.
It's so funny. I remember we filmed that first video that was like 2 minutes long. We probably filmed it 6 times.
Yeah.
It was with a camera that Shannon sent you, I think. It was like a Panasonic, I think.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, and so I was immediately hooked with like the equipment, with the editing. I would just binge watch YouTube videos for hours, learning about what's the best editing software, how do you do these editing techniques, what equipment's best, which was like super nostalgic because I have fond memories of my dad taking us to these camera stores and like showing us these new sweet digital cameras when we were like 8. It was like sports equipped. You could do, anyway, it was like, I was hooked from the get-go.
And I will say, after we had posted a few videos, after I had started turning down speaking engagements and taking on this like new route, it was refreshing because for the first time, I think ever in my career, which was also now our career, I wasn't talking about being a gymnast. We were branding ourselves as you and I. And for the first time in my career, I had control over me. And that was the scariest thing to ever feel, but the most freeing and liberating thing to ever feel. To be able to just turn on a camera and not have to think about what am I talking about now? And I don't know. It was just very freeing.
I remember, I was in the same position with like the NFL having gotten cut. And I was like, oh, I don't control my own destiny with this, right?
Yeah.
Which maybe we have control problems, but I also, go ahead.
No, finish.
I remember hearing stories about like Justin Bieber making like 25 cents per view. Do you remember like these rumors? And I was like, also, maybe, I was a bum at the time. 3 months, no job. I was getting tryouts with teams, but 3 months, no job. And Shawn is like the breadwinner, which It's fine. I love that. She still is. She's the main.
No,
she's a main event. But like,
no,
I'm like,
I'm
I
not.
have to do something, right? So then I'm looking at this. I'm like, if I could just cover our mortgage through doing this, that would be great, right?
It was amazing, and I want to like tell you guys about a little bit about Andrew right now, so that for the rest of eternity, if you ever follow us, you understand what's actually happening in the background. Not a single thing we do would ever happen if it weren't for Andrew.
I appreciate that. Babe.
I would never in a million years have started a YouTube channel. I would still be doing speeches and I would be a different person. I would still be wearing a mask and living under the control of a team. You have built our business. Yes, I am a dreamer. I have dreams, but I'm paralyzed by failure to where it's hard for me to even get started on a project. You have executed and built everything that we have dreamt of.
No, I think we're a wonderful team. I love us as a team. I'm not kidding.
This is the thing about Andrew. He's the most.
Thank you. But I really view us as like such a complimentary squad.
We are, but you are way too humble because you will never, ever accept that it was you. You'll never acknowledge it. And it was.
Thank you.
Anyways.
What I love about what we do, though, is the more I can actually uplift you and hype you up, the more successful we are. So it's like, I think it's a win. It's the best case scenario ever. It took us a couple iterations to get there because the YouTube channel was not the first venture I tried. Do you remember the backpack company?
I do. Andrew tried to start a backpack company.
No, I got a
sample made up. It was not a cute backpack.
It was dope. It's still somewhere in China after I got a demo made of it.
It's still in China?
It's the sample. Yeah.
We never received it.
I know. Well, I didn't buy it. I didn't have enough money to ship it over here.
I will say this is going on a tangent. Let me get off the path for a second. One of my favorite things about Andrew and I from the beginning of our relationship, I started a career, a full-on career when I was 12. I earned some money, not a lot. It's definitely like I don't know, what's that called? Like a faux pas or a false belief.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
A false belief that people have of like Olympians that you like make a lot of money off the Olympics. You don't. So I had
Maybe that's a whole episode in of itself.
I know. I had a little bit of money saved up, but one of my favorite things about you and I is from my career, you and I were able to form a family together, engaged and married, where I supported you for a little bit and then it would bounce back and you would support me in my venture and it would bounce back. And like the team that we've had that way has been really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I love you.
I love you.
And I'm thankful for you. All right. We should take a minute to thank our sponsor for today's show, AG1.
I started taking AG1 every day because we're constantly so busy with the kids, and that's when it's easiest to get sick. I needed a quick way to make sure I was getting all of my vitamins every single day.
I agree. We relied on AG1 for the past several years to keep our immune system strong. We make sure to get our vitamins at least once a day, if not more, especially during the months we're really busy with travel, the birthday parties with all the kids, family time, game nights, etc.
I drink it with water first thing in the morning or add it to a smoothie to make sure I'm getting all of my daily vitamins before the day starts.
With just one scoop of AG1, you get whole food source superfoods, 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and adaptogens for the day, and so much more, which is pretty insane when you're just thinking about one scoop of AG1.
Not to mention, it costs you less than $3 a day, which is cheaper than buying all of the individual supplements yourself. It really makes a huge difference in your overall health.
And I love the way it tastes, to be honest. I can't go a day without it. And right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. There's no need for a million different pills. It's so nice to have peace of mind that you're protecting your immune system with such a quick, simple solution.
To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/EastFam.
Again, that's athleticgreens.com/EastFam to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Yeah, so we always had, we got hooked right out of the get-go, right? And immediately I want to find the spreadsheet. I put together a spreadsheet of all these YouTube channels that I loved that I was watching. I remember Losing All Hope Was Freedom, Lof is what it was called. It was like this social comedy kind of thing. Do you remember that guy at all?
No.
Hilarious. So I was like, okay, who are the YouTubers that we could collab with? What are my favorite channels? I would search and find their email address. This is what I did all day, every day.
See, this is all
while
Andrew.
watching Silicon Valley. And then I would also come up with a concept for like, okay, this guy does comedy. We were going to do one. Oh my gosh. We got to find this email
We
exchange.
were going to do one with Dude Perfect.
Yeah, which freaking shout out Dude Perfect. We just met.
I'd still love to do a video with you guys. Come on, let's do it.
But we were gonna do one with a prank company that we were gonna go to a pawn shop and pawn off your gold medals.
My gold medals, which are buried in our backyard.
Which we did, which we didn't do because of a couple of different reasons. But anyway, put together a spreadsheet, started doing this outreach, and like the amount of no's that we got, was
humbling,
was painful, but also the amount of yeses we got it's exciting enough to keep us in the game.
Because granted, the only thing going for us at the time was that I had an Olympic gold medal, but we had no followers on YouTube. Andrew was bouncing around the NFL, and we just wanted to like do collabs. And
Vsauce wanted to do a collab with us,
which was awesome.
Huge. Oh
but Andrew would sit for days and days and days and just like cold email all of these people. And he'd be like, let's film a video, let's whatever. And then I will never forget, you compiled your yes list.
Yeah.
And we spent a year traveling the country to meet all of these people using the little money that we had like saved up and that we were making. I would still say yes to like a speech or two to like fund our projects.
Oh my gosh.
But we would travel the country and meet all of these people and gain new friends with them, and they would teach us.
The best part is all the people we've met.
I know they would teach us like how to do YouTube and how to like monetize it and make it a career and all this. By the way, there's an asterisk to the monetizing side that we'll get to, but they would show us the ins and outs of these influencer world, and we gained a community and built our channel to 1 million, which was wild.
It took a while to get there. We've never had like a explosion of like, wow, we're the biggest thing that's happened. We've just kind of just kept showing up, you know?
Hey, we had 2 #1 videos.
That's true. That's true. We did have a little streak of trending, but
yeah.
I'm super thankful that it's been a slow build, you know?
But through that whole thing that Andrew had created, the template of like bouncing around the country for a year, building this YouTube channel, building a community, we fell into this new world. We are no longer athletes. We were influencers and YouTubers, and it was so cool.
So good memories.
But then I'm going to go on a tangent, so add your commentary to this. I would say after that first year, when we kind of gained our traction in our community, we got derailed a little bit because we lost the purpose of why we were creating videos.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. I have this all mapped out. Okay. Don't skip ahead. All right. So we all from the get-go had viewed this as like a journal, right? Just because of my dad, like I was talking about. But also I have this journal that's now like over 1,000 pages on Google Docs. I journaled ever since I was a sophomore in high school. I started a journal right before I lost my grandma. I won't forget. Shawn was kind of doing a similar thing where I remember when we first met, she had these printed out photo albums. Like you still have a box of them.
Yeah.
A bajillion of these little photo albums. So we were like natural journalers. I don't know if that's unique to us or not. Let us know if you journal. But we viewed the YouTube channel as the same thing, where it's like this really cool way to document our lives, which I still think YouTube is the coolest thing ever. It's like the democratization of media. I could go on a tangent about this forever, but what an amazing archive of like collective wisdom of humanity. It's amazing. I'll never get over it. So in 2015, where we were is I was getting tryouts with NFL teams, which we were making vlogs about. We were also engaged. And do you remember documenting our wedding planning process where we were doing cake tasting, we were doing wedding venue tours, which was interesting to contrast that because we got an opportunity to do a reality TV show. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up not doing that because we were like, wait, why would we go back to the traditional media? The YouTube is way more fun. It's so fun.
We wanted to be able to document our life our way and not have someone else write our story.
That's right.
The amount of reality TV shows we've turned down.
A lot.
Oh my gosh.
And YouTube is amazing because again, the more Shawn I could show to the world, the better. And we had these layers to chip away. But it's also was so cool to see these comments that we would get. And man, we would spend hours responding to comments. And I just thought it was such a unique way to connect with fans. You would start this conversation, people would participate in it, and then we could kind of respond and build this dialogue. But we got to do a lot of, you were still doing a lot of cool things, like the Invictus Games when you were down there with Morgan Freeman and Prince Harry. And it's like being able to share the behind the scenes of that, or the Oscars red carpet. And like, here you are with these, these paparazzi taking pictures of you. And then we make a YouTube video about like body image stuff on the red carpet and like this kind of the twisted world behind it. It was like such a cool way for us to show, hey, you think it's this, like Hollywood glamorizes it to be this, but let us tell you what's really going on. And I still feel so fortunate to be able to like paint a more robust, full picture of this celebrity world that you participate in and I get a front row seat to. It's just a treat. So that's 2015. 2016, one of the biggest collabs we did that year was Bertaley. And so we reached out to the family. I guess they're all known now, the LeBlancs. Everyone knows their name. And they were so generous in helping us get our feet under us. They got us to 100,000 subscribers. So we're like 5 months in. This was April. I remember I got cut by the Seahawks on the drive to see the Bertaleys.
Yep.
We showed up and they were like so nice to us. They did a couple videos that super like boosted our channel. Got to 100,000 subscribers, and it was kind of like game on. We kind of just did collab after collab after collab in 2016. We were getting married that year. I remember you were patient enough to be late to your bachelorette. I still actually feel really bad about this. We did a collab in Florida, you remember, with the 7 gymnastics girls. Then you flew directly to Chicago for your bachelorette party for. More on that collab later. But I'm sorry about that, by the way.
It's okay. You take work very seriously.
I was so, I hope I have more balance now.
You're getting a lot better.
Thank you.
Like the 7-day bachelor party you just went on.
So we did the Bertaley collab. Actually started your Musical.ly account, which is now TikTok. Do you remember this?
I don't, but.
That was the origination of our short form content was Musical.ly. You don't remember that?
I don't.
We made the first, it's crazy. We finish each other's
sandwiches. Yep.
I mean, it's crazy. We finish each other's
sandwiches.
That's what I was going to say.
That was our first TikTok. Bro, I am reliving this so hard right now.
Yeah, you're going like day by day right now.
I am. Well, this is for
we have to get through like seven more
this
years.
Goes fast at this point. Okay, so then 2016, I'm getting a bunch of tryouts. I signed with the Seahawks that year. I signed with the Raiders, I think twice that year. And I was like filming us doing wedding planning. We released our wedding video, which was so fun. Our bachelorette parties. We had all these videos, and I was like, I'm so into this. I also started documenting my NFL journey of getting tryouts, getting signed, getting cut, because I had never seen that side of things as a player. It was always like, I grew up in Indianapolis as a Colts fan. Peyton Manning's on the team for like 14 years. And you're like, oh, that's what every NFL player is like. I'd never seen the experience of like a bubble player like I was, where it's like, oh, hey, he'll get signed for a couple months and then get cut. So like, it was almost like Hard Knocks before Hard Knocks existed, was our YouTube channel. Shout out to
wow.
Stop.
Don't ever take that out of context.
What do you mean?
The East family thinks their channel is
I'm just
Hard
saying
Knocks.
That's why people like Hard Knocks.
Wow.
And that's why I thought, anyway. So we had documentation of like literally me getting cut and filming this, which I don't even know if that's illegal now. This was all like new. This was a frontier.
You were filming in the locker room.
This was, I don't know it was also new. No one had any rules around it. So anyway, we also used it in 2016 as a way to kind of stay in touch and share each other's experiences. Shawn went to Rio for the Olympics in 2016 while I was in camp.
And then I went directly on tour. So
oh my gosh, don't even.
I know. Our entire like first year of marriage, we weren't together, which was the hardest year of our lives. But it did give us a little bit of like connection and exchanging videos.
And we would do these vlogs where it was like, here's Shawn's day. And then the same video is like, meanwhile, Andrew was in 2 days, right?
Yeah.
which those were always kind of fun to like put together because I remember like you doing golf lessons, you going to these different events, showing how long you had to walk, and like I'm glad that we have this footage that we can still refer to and hopefully show our kids one day. So we were kind of just like having fun with it. And I think 2017 was a pivotal year because that was when we first got pregnant.
Yep.
Fall of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
This was pivotal. This was probably the most pivotal. Found out we were pregnant. You tell the story.
Okay. So up until 2017, every once in a while we would have these like events that we would film and post videos about that we were excited about. But I would say up until 2017, from the time that we started YouTube, we kind of like aimlessly did YouTube, trying to be successful at it without a purpose. And we would go in and out of these phases of like, what are we doing? Why are we creating slime videos? Why are we, what is our purpose for this? Like, what good are we doing here? And we kind of felt lost on YouTube for a little bit every once in a while. It was still fun, but we just didn't have like a reason. 2017, we get pregnant. We documented the whole thing naturally, like as if we were going to like keep it for ourselves, like our first appointment, me telling Andrew, all of that stuff. Not because we were ever going to share that. That was not the type of content that we put on our YouTube channel back then. Our content was very light and fluffy and fun.
Slime videos.
Yeah. So this was like truly a video diary for ourselves. A week or 2 weeks after I found out I was pregnant, 2 days after I told Andrew I was pregnant, because we were apart, I was traveling on a press circuit. Andrew was bouncing around for tryouts. It was 2 days after I told him, back when we were together, I miscarried the pregnancy. We've filmed like that doctor's appointment and me finding out, and like how we just kind of naturally dealt with that grief. And we created a video for us to watch. It was like, again, a video diary. And I remember sitting there thinking, I don't know why this was very out of context for my style, but I was like, I want to post this on our YouTube channel. And I think that was majority in part to my gymnastics career. I was taught to never show emotion or show weakness of any kind. So even though we were married, I hadn't really learned how to like vocalize pain to Andrew of any kind or weakness, which is a whole other podcast story of how we got there. But after this miscarriage, I was just kind of like, I'm good. I'm fine. Whatever. I didn't know how to like have a conversation with Andrew and be like, I am grieving so badly right now and in so much pain, and I don't know how to ask for help. So in the back of my mind, I was like, what if someone on YouTube has gone through this before? Because I felt isolated as well. We kind of went back and forth. Andrew was very nervous about posting it. We went ahead and posted it. And that video went to #1. I didn't know if any single person in the world would watch it. Because, again, it was not our style. And I remember sitting there for hours reading the comments like that rolled in. And it was from couples and women all over the world who had gone through the same thing, who were saying, I feel the same exact way. I don't know how to talk to my husband. I don't know how to ask for help. Thank you for posting this. And we would just sit there and like communicate through the comments back and forth for hours. And it was because of that video and because of like the impact that that made, it switched our entire purpose on YouTube to no longer being frivolous, but being a place where we could truly intentionally connect with people and try to relate to them on levels where we feel most isolated.
Yeah, and like share a message or start a conversation. I think that was the first inkling experience that we had at that. It was crazy. We'll talk later. We had tens of thousands of comments that are now deleted, which
Thanks,
makes me
YouTube.
sad and frustrated. We'll
love
dig
you,
into
YouTube,
that,
but jeez.
That was a really pivotal moment where I was like, oh my gosh, wait, we can, I think, make an impact doing this. And Shawn, I had experience walking into a room with Shawn and women would just like break down in tears crying. That happens still all the time.
I hate when you say this.
I'm just saying, to see the effect that she has because of, her success in gymnastics, and she was like this idol for a lot of people. I think you were America's sweetheart, were you not? You're my sweetheart. But it's like, okay, so how do we follow that up? Like, how can we share some important message or like uplifting message or make people, how can we actually do something cool with that effect? And so 2017 was pivotal in that point. I remember that was also an interesting time because I was like super obsessed with Zach King and like the editing styles of how do you like make magic edits and all these things, which was kind of, again, originations of like short form type content, but like just really with the storytelling, making it captivating. I have a whole embarrassing highlight reel of that. Do you remember that one?
I do.
Of all these, me doing Dancing with the Stars, cropped in. It's I will have to play some of this. It's great. So 2017 was a big year. 2018 was also a big year because in that spring I launched the podcast Redirected, which was our first foray into podcasting, which is now what we spend a lot of our time doing. And so fast forward to spring of 2019 when we got demonetized and comments turned off, and we really felt...
And comments deleted. Not just turned off.
Deleted.
YouTube wiped all of our comments.
Yeah, which is a bummer. So you remember, if you're in the YouTube culture, there was something called the adpocalypse, which happened where like people were... there's some weirdos on YouTube who would like exploit underage kids. There's also a lot of like people doing torture videos on YouTube, and it's like YouTube was figuring out where the line is, right? And how do they protect when you democratize something? How do you like steward that well? Yeah. Anyway, we had done that collab with the 7 gymnastics girls, as we previously mentioned. The leader of that group turned out to be, unfortunately, a pedophile, a creep, and I think he's still in prison.
Yes.
Anyway, so because of our association with gymnastics, it still is a big trending topic on YouTube, and 7 gymnastics girls, I think YouTube kind of just associated us with, like, we had 7 gymnastics girls in the title of our video, so they were like, demonetize it as a blanket policy.
At that time, given a lot of like security around girls and kids and gymnasts, our channel, understandably so, because I was a gymnast, got flagged in a natural algorithm, and so we got shut down for a while, very long time.
Which honestly, we're all in favor of. Like, unfortunately, our comments did get deleted, and there's like, that's a bummer because there was tens of thousands of comments. But the more important thing is the protection of the kids. So just to clarify that, that happened in 2019. That's also when we like realized. We kind of took a step back and said, okay, well, maybe we don't just go all in on YouTube. Maybe there's like, how can we use YouTube as part of a broader strategy? Because we don't want to be married to like, we don't want to be at the mercy of them turning off our comments or demonetizing us, yada, yada. So that kind of sparked us thinking a little bigger than just YouTube. In 2018, December 2018, that's also when I achieved my NFL dream after 5 years of bouncing around from team to team to team. Signed with the Washington football team, and that was a really fun series to kind of like bring us full circle. We also started our dating series in 2018, which kind of turned into the Couple Things podcast. People loved us recounting how we met, what we liked about each other, what made us want to get married to each other, and that dating series turned into a Couple Things, which ultimately turned into FamilyMade, which is what we do now. In 2019. We got pregnant.
We did. January.
And that's when we had our first hire. We hired Lexi, which was another pivotal moment for us as like just moving forward with things. We realized Shawn's going to be, pregnant and not feeling good some of the time. And then we're going to have a kid to deal with. And we were like kind of married to releasing 1 YouTube video a week. Remember that? So how do we keep that going, and how do we formalize things? And it really helped force us to organize, prioritize, and focus what we were doing. We had to like systematize everything because now we had someone who like was like, hey, what do I do today? And I had no idea. So we were like, dude, we were paying Lexi through PayPal. We were like, she was hanging out with us in a living room. It was crazy.
I also want to add, a lot of people, especially when we get to this point of like, you had your first hire, a lot of people ask us how we make money. And tying this full circle, so back when I was a gymnast in professional athletics, I worked in marketing, basically. People like Coca-Cola and McDonald's would hire me. I would promote their product, but it was basically in exchange for being an ambassador or being sponsored for my career. Fast forward now, we're in this YouTube world where we're showing our life and relating to people. And we've built this community that trusts us to like be their friends. And truly we are. We make money based off of, YouTube's monetization. So based off of how well your videos do and how many people watch it. But also it opens up this door where we now get to promote products as well. And go back into what I was doing in gymnastics, except this time around, since we have full control, if in every video we make back then, we were showing whatever it was, iPhone, we'd be like, hey, iPhone, we're promoting your product and we love it and we use it every single day. Is there a partnership we can do here?
Yeah.
And we take that very, very seriously. With every product we promote, we try it first. We have to believe in it. We have to believe in the company. We have to believe in the people who started it. We have in-depth conversations. And it was through this that we started building this business. And it took off.
It's also, I mean, Shawn and I have had the experience where a product can literally change, for sure with parenting. It's like when you find, a place that's slumber pod to put your kid in when they sleep, or the place you put them when they nap, or like the right pacifier, the right bottle that like helps them actually drink and eat enough. It's like it can actually change the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for parenting. It goes with health and wellness. It goes with fitness. It's like we're really excited to introduce products that hopefully helps you out. And so it's great to merge like a product with what we're already talking about. And I think it's a huge honor for us to hopefully provide value in that sense. We view it as like, hey, hopefully you try this product out. It helped us and hopefully it'll help you too.
So we ended up bringing Lexi on that year in 2019 to help us manage all of this, to manage our accounts and our relationships with companies and our relationships with you guys who are listening, to make sure that we kept everything up and running in a high quality way while we're on maternity leave and managing a baby.
So that was in 2019. That fall we had Drew, our first child, freaking princess. Love my life. I love her. Sorry about that.
About a week after I had Drew, I find out that Couple Things, which I'd never heard of before, a podcast, had charted to #1 with no episodes. And I was like, what is this? Why is our face on this? And Andrew's like, this is our podcast. I launched it and we need to record episodes now. And I was literally a week postpartum and I was like, I might kill you.
Yeah. Mistakes were made for sure.
But it's amazing now.
So Redirected was my solo project podcast. That has now, I think, 140 plus episodes. We launched a couple things because obviously Shawn's a bigger deal between us. But I fell in love with this experience of like interviewing people or just like having a broader discussion.
I'm sorry, I'm about to pee my pants.
Shawn needs to go to the bathroom. Okay. I had fallen in love with this experience of sitting down and doing interviews and meeting new people, and then having, this was kind of in the political climate too, where things were tense. But what does it look like to have like an unbroken, extended conversation in depth about a topic? It's like, I just think there's some magic about YouTube and there's some magic about podcasts. So that show launched, had a lot of success. We got nominated for the People's Choice Award in 2020. It actually hit #1 or 2 in December of 2022 as well on the charts. And then, after we had Drew, especially when we launched that show in 2019, there was a lot of discussion going on around like, hey, we've been doing YouTube for the last 4 years at that point. And what does this look like when we have a kid, right? So there was, at that point, you had a lot of these like family vlogging was really starting to like take off, and then there was kind of some people manipulating that concept and making it almost like a scripted reality. And so we started having discussions of, do we include our kids in this or not? And we viewed couple things as a really important outlet for us to just have something that's just Shawn and I. We didn't know how we were going to navigate the situation with Drew or our future kids. And now our philosophy is kind of include the kids in a way that's from Shawn and I's perspective, as our content has always been from our perspective. It's not like a kids channel. It's not about what the kids are doing necessarily. It's about what Shawn and Andrew are doing, which has heavy overlap in what the kids are doing, obviously, because we spend a lot of time with them. But always from our perspective, in case we ever just want to like say, hey, we're done with that. So I don't know if we have conversations about this all the time. Like, how can we navigate this wisely? No one's ever kind of done this before, right? Social media started in 2008 with Twitter. So like, it's very young, and we're just trying to go through it thoughtfully. So there's that. We never viewed our content as like scripted reality or like, hey, now our income is dependent on this. We always just try to maintain, just like my dad did with making home videos, like maintain this sense of creating shareable home videos is how I consider even what we do now is like shareable home videos. So like, yeah, there's a storyline, and we like kind of will do sit down narration of it, but it's still a home video. It's not like a YouTube video, right? It's not like a family Mr. Beast type video. Does that make sense? Anyway, okay. So with Lexi, we were able to increase kind of like as we systemize things and organize things, we're able to increase the number of videos we output. So then we had YouTube videos going out every week. Then we got exclusive deals with YouTube, with Facebook, with Amazon. And it's like we had a lot of content to create. Mm-hmm. So we're doing short form every week. We're doing podcasts, multiple every week. We're doing YouTube, and then we're making cuts for all these different platforms. And it started to like grow this team of Lexi, and then we had video editors, and we have producers who like, hey, how does a couple things differ from your East Family YouTube channel? And then telling storylines through each of those episodes, because we got caught up in like just sitting down and recording a random podcast wasn't working. There were expectations of like, how can we patch together something that is pleasant to listen to? And so now we have, I think, 12 W-2 employees that we have this really amazing team that I'm so thankful for that helps us keep that up without us losing our sanity or our priorities.
Well, the reason why we have so many employees now is, and we have so many contractors, I mean, we have like a team of 30 pretty much, is because it all kind of came to a head in 2021 when we had Jet, where looking at the type of videos we were sharing and how much we were sharing and how much we were filming, we kind of capped it. We no longer wanted to continue putting more and more content around us out. We didn't want to keep adding more shows. We were comfortable with what we were sharing at the consistency we were sharing it. But in order to grow that and continue to impact you guys and give you relatable content and like good-hearted, wholesome family content that can hopefully impact our world for the better, we had to grow our team because we wanted to find other people out there who do what we do, that we can help and uplift and help grow to hopefully create a tidal wave of just good content for the world to see. Yeah,
so in 2021, we're in this position where we had like a really solid process. We have this content calendar that's planned months in advance. We have these podcasts that are like, having a good amount of reach and success. We're also at a point where we're sitting down and filming for like 5 or 6 hours a day to like, put out the YouTube video, put out the TikToks on all the things. And we simultaneously also, there's a lot of stuff going on where we realize like Shawn and I come from such a limited experience of, she's from Iowa and I'm from Indiana, and we're, we have 2 kids biologically, and there's so many other stories about adoption and special needs and, losing loved ones and, being a widow, and like not everyone has this team that we've been able to build. And so there's this hurdle in our niche of like family lifestyle videos of one, separating yourself from like the more exploitative family content, which I hope to stay an arm's length away from always. And two, since it's with kids and with your spouse, like there's kind of like this, it adds complexities to the relationship. And it's always like, hey, we can't do this because our plate's too full. We have the kids to take care of. So we reached this point where like, how cool would it be if we could use our team that we've built to help reduce the obstacles of people in our niche who share a similar set of values to help create more content, because there's so much, as you said, promiscuous or, kind of, I think, culturally undermining content with gambling, with profanity, with all these like things that I think our type of content is the antithesis of, right? And there's this massive audience for our genre of content, and it's really like people want it. So how can we help create more of it? Which continues us on the path of building FamilyMade, where now we've been able to, we started FamilyMade in 2021. We didn't have our first show signed until July of 2022. It took so many no's for us to finally get that first yes of like, yeah, I want to do a show with FamilyMade.
And now people are signing bi-weekly. And we have a long list that we're clearing as we speak.
We have 14 shows signed. I think 14 shows live. I think there's 3 or 4 more signed. And we did a whole video on FamilyMade, a podcast on FamilyMade. But like, it's so cool to build this ecosystem of family-friendly, brand-safe content that people want to listen to. And it's not like cheesy. It's not corny. It's like quality content about real topics that hopefully serves as conversation starters for people going through this phase of life, whether it be dating, engagement, marriage, the young parts of parenting, what we've made videos on for the last 8 years, right? It's like creating a home base for those people to go to and building out resources of not only podcasts, but also courses and handouts and events. I'm really excited for the future. And our experience on YouTube has been such a treat. I feel like we're the luckiest people in the world to be able to sit down and have these really fun conversations over the podcast with my wife. I love the conversations that we get to have, to be able to learn about you by being in the office with you every day. It's like, I just feel spoiled. And I feel like where we started with the mission of sharing more Shawn in the world.
That was not our mission at all.
I feel like I'm still doing that.
I want to clarify, that was not our mission. Ever.
No, you never said that.
Okay.
I did. But now we get to share more of what, has made our life fulfilling and fruitful, which is not the Olympic gold medals necessarily, not necessarily, achieving NFL dreams. It's like, gosh, our marriage, when we look back on the past 7 years, so fulfilling. Our kids, so fulfilling. And we've had a lot of fun memories, like the 0G video that we've got to do, the Ryan Trahan, the travel vlog that we made through Europe, gender reveals and pregnancy announcements with my parents, which now I get to go look back on with my dad, Drew's birth vlog, Drew's first time at Challenge Gymnastics. It's like, gosh, there's so many full circle things. And we have this archive of a journal for our lives. And hopefully what we're building with FamilyMade will be this archive of resources to help people navigate this in a less overwhelming way. I didn't have the idea to make this video until like 2 weeks ago. And then I was patching together our storyline and I was like, man, what a ride it's been. Who knows where it goes from here?
I know.
But I love it.
How many shows do you think we'll have by the end of the year at this rate?
We need to cap it around 20. But you know what's crazy?
Okay.
We put out
You just got serious.
I think around 800 pieces of content last year. Short form videos, YouTube videos, podcasts, newsletters, courses. 800 pieces of content that hopefully nudges the world to take one step closer to making family the aspiration and not making $1 million or like using ChatGPT or AI or like getting a 6-pack. It's like, hey, make your marriage, make your family your number one priority. And that's what we're trying to push towards. So anyway, I'll end my soapbox. Maybe some of you found this intriguing. Thank you for going with us down memory lane. But that's how we got into YouTube. And that's why, people don't recognize Shawn as much as they used to for Olympics or Dance with the Stars, but more for TikTok and YouTube.
And you.
They don't know me. They only know it's a height difference that really sticks out.
Is that why people took pictures of you on the plane and I wasn't there?
Oh, what a ride. Okay, well, we'll end it there. What are we, 2 hours in?
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. I'm Andrew.
I'm Shawn.
We're the East Fam.